really like that stall, I must say.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
Where did someone was it a gift?
Let's see.
Yep, they have plenty of them.
They got bars and nashes.
Quite a lot of people coming, this is good.
Sunday just to breathe into.
Teal.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to First Parish in Framingham. We are a Unitarian-Universalist congregation, and we are a welcoming congregation, which means no matter whom you love, how you move around in the world, your race, your age, your gender identity, your gender, your beliefs, no matter where you are on your life's journey, you, yes, you, are welcome here. I am Diane Bassett, not David Ortmeyer, who you will see next week. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the worship associate this morning. Please be sure to read the announcements in the order of service, and also be sure to put your phones and other devices that might make noise to their quietest setting. While beeps and buzzes can be distracting, we welcome your human noises, your cooing and laughter, and your singing, especially your singing. Please join us for coffee and conversation in Scott Hall across the courtyard after the service. If this is your first time joining us, a special welcome to you. It takes a lot of courage to try out a new religious community. It especially takes courage to cross the courtyard and join us in Scott Hall. We hope you will take the leap. There are many who would help you to find your way. We look forward to getting to know you better. If this is the religious community that you call your own, welcome home. Let us release all that we need to let go of in order to be more fully present to ourselves, to one another, and perhaps to the sacred in this time and place. As we light the chalice this morning, I share these words by Reverend Sarah Lawal. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all that is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise. Come, let us worship together. Let us rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 1067 in the Teal hymnal, Mother Earth, Beloved Garden, Please remain standing as we sing and say our words of affirmation, which are printed in the order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
You may be seated. I am the Reverend Stockwell Wisman. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the senior minister of this congregation, and it is an honor and a privilege. This is the time that we set aside for sharing of the things which weigh deepest on our hearts. We are a people of deep joy and also great sorrow. In between the sharing of sorrows and joys, we will sing verses from the song Comfort Me. We sing so that your joys and sorrows might be held in song, but also so that you might have a song to sing when you need it most. You can submit your joys or sorrows online if you are on our email newsletter, or at the book at the back of the sanctuary. Friends, these are the sorrows of the people in our congregation. Leslie S. simply writes, November 5th. Ellen C. writes, add my name to a list of persons gravely concerned for our nation. Marianne O. writes, I am blown away by the results of this election. May we work together for a better future in spite of it. She writes, living well is the best revenge. So let us sing, Comfort Me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. And these are the joys of our congregation. Kevin S. has two. They write, I am currently visiting my friend of all friends in California. I only get to see her once or twice a year, but she lives close to my heart. Kevin S. also writes, despite the demoralizing election results, I am glad to have this church and my political organizing group. Community is the most important thing in uncertain times. And Michael P. writes this joy. After a long day going to and from Allentown, Pennsylvania, Veronica and the Framingham Marching Band came home with a bronze medal at the national competition. We are so proud. And Diane B. shares this joy. I am grateful for the steady presence of the sunshine and the moon that keep on rising and help steel me for darker clouds ahead. Let us sing now, Sing With Me. Sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. And this morning, as every morning, we know that there are sometimes joys or sorrows that are too great to share. So we light one final candle for all the spoken, or rather all of the unspoken joys or sorrows. Let us now sing, Speak for Me. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me,
Speak for me,
oh my soul.
I now invite you into a time of contemplation, prayer, or meditation. Please settle in your seat, feeling yourself supported by the earth beneath you. Take a deep breath and sink down into your body as you center yourself in quiet reflection. We call upon the great mystery, which goes by many names and is approached by many paths, that spirit of life which sustains us and enables each of us to love and be loved just as we are in our essential humanity. We give thanks for all the joys and blessings in our lives, and all those beings and things that give our lives purpose and meaning. We are also deeply grateful for the love, compassion, and kindnesses, large and small, that we receive on a daily basis. May we never forget those things or take them for granted. we lift up those afflictions, sadnesses, and heavy feelings, the difficulties, griefs, and worries that weigh on people's hearts and minds. Although we all suffer in different ways, the suffering is, in its essence, the same. May all who suffer find support and solace, and by sharing our troubles in loving community, may those troubles be lessened through togetherness. May all afflicted by disease, illness, or pain, and those struggling with addictions, be comforted and find relief. May all who are experiencing grief or loss feel nurtured and consoled. In these days after the election, when so many are filled with doubt, uncertainty, fear, anger, and a swirl of other thoughts and emotions, may we find peace and solace in and through this community. And may we recognize that although the thoughts and emotions feel very real and deeply impactful in this moment, they are not permanent, and we can find ways to live with and eventually transcend them in time. Let us rest in that reassurance. And finally, let us recommit ourselves to living with humility and loving kindness to each other and ourselves, and to pursuing greater justice for all people. That is our great calling today and every day. So now I would invite you to join in a moment of silence for personal reflection or prayer. May all which is holy and sacred hold these prayers and contemplations, spoken and unspoken, with tenderness and compassion, and help us live better into beloved communities of respect and justice. Amen, and blessed be.
Once a month, we collect an offering to support a local nonprofit or Unitarian-Universalist cause that is doing good work in our community. This morning, we will support the work of the Metro West Free Medical Program, and to tell us more about that work, I invite Eileen Hofferning forward to share about their vital mission in our community.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think most people here are familiar with the Metro West Free Medical Program because for over a decade, I think it was 13 years, the Women's Health Clinic, part of the program, operated out of 110 Edgell Road most Thursday nights. A couple years ago, the church decided to sell the building, and the program decided we needed bigger space. So for the last 2 years, we've been operating out of our new space in Marlborough on 246 Maple Street, which is a clinic setting. It's got exam rooms and a waiting room and reception area, so it's a very efficient place to offer our services. For those of you that don't know about the Metro West Free Medical Program, we provide free medical care to anybody who's uninsured or underinsured, and all the care is provided by volunteers. It's been in operation for 20 years. We offer 3 different clinics: the Women's Health Clinic, a general medical clinic, and an ophthalmology clinic, which takes place in an ophthalmologist's office in Sudbury. Most of the patients that we see have not had or seen a doctor, had medical care for many years. I saw someone this week who hadn't seen a doctor for 18 years and had very high blood pressure when they came in to see us. And so we're able to give them medication, set up follow-up visits so we can make sure that the blood pressure comes under control. Many women come in who haven't had pap smears or mammograms maybe ever or in a long time, that we're able to set that up for them. A new initiative we have this year is we have a volunteer pediatrician, and so she's doing school physicals for students, especially new arrivals who have to have that physical before they can go to school. And so we're able to help prevent the delay of students entering school. As I said, all the care is delivered by volunteers. We do have a few paid staff, the executive director, a couple of clinical managers, and our interpreters, because most of our patients speak Portuguese or Spanish. We provide them with a stipend. And I want to give a shout out to several volunteers from First Parish, Joanne Sarkar and Susan Moody, who are at the Women's Clinic on most Thursdays, and also Carol Boyce, who is First Parish's representative on the board. We're very concerned about the change in the healthcare landscape given last week's election. You know, wondering if there's going to be elimination or changes in the Medicare, Obamacare, Medicaid programs, and are trying to think about how we can be proactive in meeting possibly an increased need. So any donation that you can make will be very gratefully received. You can donate in 3 ways. You can put cash in the plate, or you can write a check to First Parish and share the plate in the memo line. Or if most people, myself included, don't carry cash or checkbooks, so we have the handy QR code that you can donate this way as well. If you have difficulty with the QR code or just want to wait till coffee hour to do it, I have a table over at coffee hour and can assist you with the QR code in your donation. Thank you for your generosity.
Samhain, Samhain, we call upon our kin. We call upon our dear departed loved ones to come in. The veil between the worlds is thin. Our hearts reach across the sea of time to bring our loved ones in. Samhain, Samhain, we honor all our kin. We honor those who've gone before as the great wheel turns again. Samhain, Samhain, we call upon our kin. We call upon our sacred ancestors to come in. Samhain, Samhain, we call them to come in. We call upon our dear departed loved ones to come in.
As I think about what I want to say to you this morning, I'm reminded I only have one political science class in my entire degree work. I have a lot more in pastoral care and being a minister. And when I am anxious and trying to figure out how to respond to the world's events, I remember that I am a pastor and not a political pundit. There are others out there who do that job much better than I. I ask this rhetorically because you probably know, but my friends, how are you doing this morning? No matter what you are feeling, I am so glad that you are here. You are here because you have chosen community over isolation. Election results, they do have a great impact on our lives. The impact that politicians have cannot be overstated. And perhaps the grief and anxiety that we feel, that too cannot be overstated. However, I know that grief and anxiety can be distributed differently. As I look back on the 35 memorial services that I have officiated over my time in ministry, I recall the 35 very different ways that families grieve the death of a loved one. And even as I think about each of those 35 families, I think about the different ways each member of that family processed that grief. And I know, too, that now their griefs are different. They have metabolized in different ways. I remember after the death of my grandmother, who was a complicated person, I so desperately wanted to be 6 months down the road, when things would be easier or less tender. Maybe you feel that way about the results of the election. I know that it has fueled much of my anxiety-ridden doom scrolling. I am looking for any glimmer of hope. One of my colleagues said, "Can you reframe that as hope scrolling?" And I said, maybe, one of these days. No matter what, it would be a mistake to rush our grief if that's what we are feeling. It would be a mistake if you are not there yet to look for the glimmers before you are ready. So what do we do with these feelings that we are feeling? My good friend, the Reverend Dr. Molly Hausch-Gordon writes, "First, we are going to tend to our bodies, drink some water, move some of the adrenaline out, walk, dance, cry, breathe, sing, rock, shake, jiggle, cuddle. This may take a while, she writes. This is a trauma and a grief, so be so gentle with yourself. Second, we are going to get with our people. Isolation is the enemy. Safety is in community. And there are communities of resistance and hope, she reminds us, right where you are. We will need each other. We always did. Then, in a while, when we are ready with our people and our bodies and all of our resources, we're going to make sanctuaries for love, for all that we can save, because there is so much that we can save. As I said at the family service at 10 o'clock, the mission of our church does not change. We still will say love is the doctrine of this church. We must commit ourselves to center love when we are ready, to be love's hands in the world. And that's a big commitment, I know. We cannot do it all. Various Jewish teachings reassure us that there is actually a certain sense of reassurance and a sense of relief in that. A poster in my study here reminds us that do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. When you are able, this might not be the right time for it, but when those breaths can fully fill your lungs, I would invite each of us to consider what is the portion of the world's injustice that breaks your heart. And then I invite you to consider the 3 or 4 things that you can do to work to end that injustice. The small things, the ways that you can actually make an impact, and pursue those paths with all of your might. Friends, do not let your hearts become hardened in this moment. Do not. Guard your tender heart. Heal your broken heart. Do all of those things, but do not let it become hardened. The world needs your soft and tender hearts. And if you cannot think of an area that you can make an impact, here is a very simple thing to do. The poet John Rostell writes, "When the world goes mad, become wildly kind to everyone, 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 everyone. My love, you can't control much, but you can control how you treat others in this breaking news, heartbreaking times. When nothing feels certain, let your raw kindness be a certainty. Allow your compassion to become that North Star stamped out in the sky for others to follow back home." For some of you, I know this is the community that you call your very own. I am so glad you showed up today. We are here for you. For some of you, I know for some of you, it may have been years since you attended religious services here in this space. I'm so glad that you showed up. We are here for you. And for others of you, this is the first time walking into a church ever. I am so glad that you showed up. Let us be here for each other. We're going to need solidarity in places like these in the coming months, friends. I'm glad that you are here.
For our reading this morning, I share a poem from John O'Donohue titled Bannacht, which means blessing in Irish. You will also hear the word currach, which is a traditional canvas-covered rowing boat used by fishermen in Ireland. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, May a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the currach of thought, and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life.
Theodore Parker, one of our great Unitarian heroes, famously said, "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. picked up on that idea and adapted it for his time. And President Barack Obama even had it inscribed on a rug in the Oval Office. As Reverend Aaron noted, for many, a concept of the universe as moral and that arcs towards justice can be a spiritual touchstone for many of us, an article of faith. We want to believe. We want to believe it because it helps us make sense of this seemingly crazy world. But what are we to make of it this week? Do we still believe it? Or do we now doubt our faith? Because yes, this is a time of doubt, a time of uncertainty, a time of incredulity. And this is also a time of deep apprehension, fear, even dread. As John O'Donoghue put it in today's reading, these are the days when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble. Many people are nervous and scared, and with good reason. We don't know yet what will happen as a result of the election, but many of us are fearful, and many of us are still numb and in a state of shock. I want to acknowledge and validate that shock, that fear, that loss of faith, and all our other swirling thoughts and emotions. They are all valid responses. None of them should be ignored or pushed aside, especially at this time. Nor, as Reverend Aaron was saying, should we rush past our feelings, our doubts, and our lived experiences in our desire to get beyond them. The truth is, many of us are grieving right now. So let's give it time. Let's give ourselves time to grieve. Let us lament. We must also acknowledge that people will respond in different ways and heal at different speeds. Let us be gentle, loving, and patient with ourselves and others as we individually and collectively process our responses. Renewed hope, renewed courage, renewed determination will come, but not necessarily today, and certainly not at the same time for all of us. So in this time, let us give one another the gift of time, space, and communal support. Another truth is that some people have especially compelling reasons to be afraid. As always, it is the marginalized, the most vulnerable, those closest to the edge of society, and those who do not fit as easily into cultural norms, who have the most to fear. For example, I saw a poignant post this week that said, if you don't understand why your trans friend is so scared and angry right now, you don't have a trans friend. You just know a trans person. But if we're also looking for glimmers, I would note that in this election, for the first time, an openly trans person was elected to Congress from Delaware. There are some bright lights. And it will also matter where you live in the country, what your citizen or immigration status may be, your class and income level, your gender, the color of your skin, etc., etc. We are all feeling the impact of this election, but for some of us, the consequences are more, well, consequential. Or put another way, we may be all in the same storm, but we're not necessarily in the same boat. Some of us are in more danger than others. And this is why we all have a responsibility. I would say a moral and religious obligation to do whatever we can to resist oppression and to support and protect the most vulnerable, the most endangered in our society. Let us love them into liberation. During the weeks and months to come, we will need shelters from this storm of uncertainty, anxiety, and fear. We will need places of compassion, comfort, and solace. We need sources of hope and light in the darkness. We need something firm and solid that can hold us, support us, sustain us. This is how we will build the resilience and courage we will need to do the work of transformation and collective liberation that must continue. Where can we find those sources of solace, resilience, and hope? Well, first, we can look to this congregation, this beloved community, and to our shared Unitarian-Universalist faith. Remember that we are not alone. We have each other. May we continue to hold each other in covenanted community and with ever more love and compassion. On Wednesday, we opened the meeting house and held a Vespers service of reflections, readings, and music. For me and others who attended, it was an opportunity to come together, to process our thoughts and emotions, and be in communion in this sacred space. And this morning, we are gathered again in blessed community. May First Parish always remain a safe space of peace and succor amongst the tumult. And don't forget that our UU faith has a long heritage of persistent resistance and hope, the enduring willingness to stand up and be counted in the face of oppression and injustice. We are not a faint-hearted people. We are the faith of Michael Servetus, James Reeb, and many others. We are the heretics who did and still do resist the forces of darkness, those systems and people of oppression that seek to frighten, divide, and exclude other humans. Indeed, let us not forget, as Reverend Aaron mentioned, that the flaming chalice, the symbol of our living faith, was originally developed as an emblem of resistance to fascism. We are the people of that same flame. As Unitarian-Universalists, we are fortunate to have many sources of inspiration to draw on, including our own lived experiences, the scriptures and teachings from many wisdom traditions, the prophetic voices of people, past and present, and art, poetry, and other fruits of human creativity. At times like this, however, I personally find great comfort and support in nature and from the ancient earth-based traditions, especially those from my Celtic heritage. We can always return to nature for solace and peace and feel ourselves held in the loving embrace of Mother Earth, or if you will, the goddess. By immersing ourselves in nature, we can surrender, if only for a few minutes, to a power that is greater than ourselves, an eternal truth that transcends our immediate reality, an ever-changing, cyclical, and yet enduring source of strength and comfort that both surrounds and is within us. As Thich Nhat Hanh put it, every time I step upon the earth, I see I am walking on you, my mother. Every time I place my feet on the earth, I have a chance to be in touch with you and with all your wonders. With every step, I can touch the fact that you aren't just beneath me, dear mother, but you are also within me. So in the days and weeks to come, I encourage you to get outdoors as much as you can. Go for a walk, and with your feet, kiss Mother Earth. In that kiss, you will find a truth, beauty, and love that transcends all politics, pettiness, and division. And I also believe that the ancient pagan holidays, like Samhain, and the wisdom of our ancestors are sources of solace and hope in these troubled times. Samhain, which is the basis for the modern Halloween, is an ancient pagan celebration. It's been celebrated in Ireland and Scotland and Celtic lands for, well, since well before the Common Era. It is the time which marks the end of the harvest and the bringing in of fire to the homes again. The hearth fires would be extinguished and the bonfires would be lit, the communal bonfires would be lit. And from those bonfires, people would relight their hearth fires and bring that time together into their homes, not just as a way of relighting the fires for the coming winter, but also as a way of being in community together, a ritual that brought the community together. And Samhain is also a liminal time. It is the time when the veil between this world and the other world, the spirit world, becomes thinner. and when we can be more in touch with our ancestors. And the Celtic people knew that the ancestors would help them through the coming days of darkness. They trusted in the wisdom of those ancestors. And we are in dark times. We are in fearful times. But the Celtic holidays also remind us that we have been here before. Collectively, we have been here before. That through the centuries, we have survived. We have made it through the dark winters. And the spring has returned. At Imbolc, the spring comes back, and we can return to springtime. Because the Celtic people realized that time was cyclical. Yes, this was the beginning of the new Celtic year, the descent into the dark period, but it was also just one point on a cycle, another turning of the wheel. Just like we have election cycles, the earth has its cycles, and they keep coming round and round. And let us not forget that the Celtic people throughout the centuries, had a lot to fear. They had the fear that it might be a particularly harsh winter. Maybe they didn't have enough harvest gathered in. Maybe some of them wouldn't survive. Maybe some would die. These were real, deep fears. And yet they found a way to pass beyond them, to recognize that time was cyclical, and they could and would ultimately survive. So I would return to our reading. Yes, these are dark times. But together we will come through these dark times. And we will find a way. Because at the end, we all need to be wrapped in that cloak of hope and that cloak of love. And ultimately, we must be willing to wrap everyone in that cloak. That is our duty. Thank you. And now we will join to sing our closing hymn, which is in the grey hymnal. I forget the number, can you remind me? 346. Thank you, 346. 346 in the grey hymnal, Come Sing a Song with Me.
And I'll bring you home when hope
As we extinguish our chalice, I leave you with these final words. In these hard and emotional times, may each of us find ways to be grounded and remain in touch with our true selves, the best people we can be in this moment, and then the next moment, and the next. And if we cannot find peace or a source of hope, may we still find a place of refuge, both within ourselves and in and through this beloved community. So as we depart this sacred space, let us create sacred spaces wherever we go. Let us extend and share the love we feel inside these walls out into the wider world. And in so doing, may the quality and purpose of our lived lives be our living benediction. Our sacred service has ended, so let our sacred service begin. May you find solace, succor, and support in the days and weeks to come. Be at peace.